Okay, in this lesson, we're going to look at solving some basic one-step equations with addition and or subtraction. So you need paper and a pencil and potentially a calculator. Okay, so if you don't have those things out right now, press pause and get those materials out in front of you. Okay, and what we're going to look at today, so hopefully you have those materials ready at this point, what we're going to look at is just some basic steps that we can do to help us be successful with solving equations. So the first thing that we need to know is that addition and subtraction are inverse operations that will undo each other. Okay, so if we see something that has addition, we're going to have to cross the equal sign to get rid of it, and we'll use subtraction to do that. So in our most basic situations, if we have something like x plus 4 equals 12. Okay, the first thing that we want to do is we want to identify what our variable is. So the variable is always the letter in the problem. So you can circle that or box it in. Okay, we also want to make note of where our equal sign is. Okay, so the deal is that anytime we move a number from the left side of the equal sign to the right side of the equal sign, or vice versa, left to right, we are going to have to change the operation that's used. Okay, so we circled the x. The x is going to stay put. So that means we need to move this 4. Okay, and what we'll always do is we'll look in front of the 4 to see what operation we see. And right now we see addition. So we're going to undo addition with subtraction. Okay, so we're using the opposite sign that we see. And whatever we write here, we're going to write the exact same thing on the other side of the equal sign. Okay, so once on the left side of this and once on the right side of it. Okay, and then once you do that, we know that a positive 4 and a negative 4 just cancel out. That will always be the case. We're just going to get rid of these. Okay, and if you really need to, we want to make sure we get our math correct. You could type into your calculator 12 minus 4. So I'm typing exactly what I see. No extra, no less. Okay, and that tells us 12 minus 4 is 8. And then we'll just bring down what we have left over here. So what we have left is x. So we have x equals 8. If we wanted to check to make sure that our answer was correct, we could take that 8 and we could plug it back into the original equation. So now instead of saying x plus 4, I could say 8 plus 4. Okay, and if I take 8 plus 4, that equals 12, which is what we wanted this to equal, so we know our answer is correct. Okay, so let's look at another one. Maybe we have something like y minus 9 equals negative 12. So again, we're going to identify our variable. Okay, and if we look over here, the 9 is what we didn't circle, so that's what we need to move. Okay, so in front of this 9, we see subtraction, right? And we said our rules was that we would undo subtraction with addition. So we are going to add 9 to each side. Okay, and again, these will cancel. So we'll bring down what we have left, which is the y. We'll take negative 12 plus 9. So if you're typing this in your calculator, typing just what you see. So you see negative 12 plus 9. Okay, and that gives us a negative 3. Okay, now there's always the potential when we're solving these problems that we have more than one sign happening. So you might want to clean those signs up into something shorter. So for example, if we have something like w minus negative 8 equals 7. Okay, the best case situation is always that you're going to change two signs into one. And we do that with something called adding the opposite is the technical term. Okay, and what we do is we change subtraction to addition, and then we take the opposite sign of what follows it. Okay, but if you just want to memorize or sort of know the properties, if you have two negatives always turn into a positive. Okay, two positives always turn into a positive. A negative and a positive will turn into a negative. And a positive and a negative will turn into a negative. Okay, so these can still be read just as addition and subtraction. Okay, so if you saw two of the same signs, we would just turn that into one addition sign. Okay, so if we saw something that said y minus negative 2 equals 12, we know that two of the same signs mean I can turn that into addition, and I can just turn this into y plus 2 equals 12. Okay, if I see two of the opposite signs, okay, I know that two of the opposite signs mean that that's going to be a subtraction. So I can just turn this into w minus 7 equals 5. Okay, by doing that, you'll only have one operation to deal with, which will make the problem a lot easier, and then you can just solve it the way that we have been. Right, so we see subtraction, and we will undo subtraction with addition. And we would get w equals 12. Okay, now we also want to make sure that we're okay if things happen on different sides of the equal sign or if we throw in fractions. So the important piece here is to make sure that we know how to use our calculator. So if you don't know how to use your calculator with fractions, make sure you're getting that video to teach you how to use your calculator first. Okay, so if you want to do something like w plus 2/3 equals 3/5. Okay, again, the key here is to not let the fractions throw you off. So again, we'll identify our variable. And just like before, we see addition, so we are going to undo addition with subtraction. Okay, the only difference is that now we have a fraction, right? These are still going to cancel, but in our calculator, we can type in 3ABC5. And then we can subtract off the 2/3. Sorry guys, my phone's ringing, I'm ignoring it. Okay, so we'll get negative 1/15. So we'll say w equals negative 1/15. Okay, so anytime we see a fraction, treat it just like it's a regular number and do the same thing. Okay. It's possible that our variable could be on the other side. So maybe I have 25 equals a minus 9. Again, the idea is still the same. We're still going to identify our variable. We just need to always move away from the variable, which means whatever is sitting on the same side as the letter is the piece we need to move. We're still going to use the inverse operation, and we are still going to write that once on each side. Okay, so we'll take 25 plus 9, which gives us 34. We know that these cancel. And then if you want to rewrite this so your variables first, that'd be a good step. We'll just say a equals 34. Okay, so I want you to try and do the worksheet that has 8 problems on it. They're all solving one-step equations. If there are 2 signs, so if you see something like x plus negative 3, right, make sure you're rewriting that into one sign, and make sure you're using your calculator to help you with the fractions.